Good morning, everybody. Welcome to our session today on creating a user-friendly library habitat. My name is Mara Eggerman. I'm in Iowa. I am your volunteer virtual facilitator. I'll be disappearing shortly, but I just want to introduce Sharon Edwards, who's the Director of Libraries at Motlow State Community College. She's joined by Kristin Delwo, who is with EBSCO, which actually I am too. I don't know if you can see my vest. So I knew Kristin already. She's the founder of an amazing service called Stacks Library Websites. Oh gosh, I'm seeing myself twice. That's interesting. Sorry, that threw me off. So I'm going to let Sharon talk about what she's been doing with Stacks at her library. And then Kristin will keep track of the chat and Pathable. Make sure that you're watching the chat in the Pathable form and not on Zoom. And then they will take questions as they come throughout the talk. So feel free to put in something and then we'll address it as soon as we see that. Thank you very much for being here. Take it away, Sharon.
Thank you so much, Mara. And thank you guys for being here this morning to listen to this. We're very excited for everything that this product has brought to Motlow State Community College. So I'm going to say the words that we've all said a million times during this thing. I'm going to share my screen and click share. Okay. We can all see this, correct? Somebody unmute and say, yes, you can see. Yes. We're good? I think so.
Yes.
Okay. Thanks. I appreciate it because all of the little boxes go away when I was sharing. Okay. So the first thing is here we are. So there's me. I am the Director of Libraries at Motlow State Community College, and there's Kristin. This slide will be at the end if you want to grab our handles and our emails later for questions. So, but let's just dive right into it. The first thing is a little background about Motlow. We are 51 years old, give or take, and we have an 11 county service population with about 4,500 square miles, give or take. It's pretty big. We have 4 campuses, and there's a library at each campus. We serve about 6,500 students. FTE is somewhere around 45-ish. So that's kind of where we land, if that gives you a little idea of our footprint and our service population. And so at our libraries, this is our collection, about 68,000 physical items, over 70 databases, lots of ebooks, lots of computers, the same stuff that you guys all have at your place. I just wanted to put this out there so that you guys could get an idea of what we look like, the products that we have in-house, the products we have digitally. And hopefully, I guess it's kind of, the same things that you guys have at your place. So these pictures are the one on the left, that's at our Smyrna library, our Smyrna campus library. I think the one on the bottom, yes, that's at our Smyrna campus library too. And then the one on the bottom right, that's at our Moore County campus library, which that's where I'm at right now, is the Moore County campus one. And in case you wonder, if you don't know anything about Motlow or wonder where I am, if you can just remember Jack Daniels, then you'll know exactly where I am. Actually, Motlow started Jack Daniels. Everybody talks about Jack Daniels starting it, but it was the Motlows that did it. We actually have a Jack Daniels dining room here. Lynchburg is down the road. Moore County is where Lynchburg is. That's where I am. So if you forget anything about that, then you will forget anything about Motlow. You can remember Jack Daniels and you'll find us. So this is our pandemic times. This is the data from the pandemic times. We did not have LibGuides until last year. I had been advocating for it. I was not the director then, and I was like, you guys, we kind of need to do this thing. And then our director at the time signed a contract with SpringShare. And so we were going to take, several months to kind of learn it, start creating it. So he signed a contract around January of 2020. And then kind of introduced it to us around February of 2020. And then he left middle of February 2020. And then we all know what happened a little bit after that. So after spring break, we went virtual. And so I had never built a LibGuide before, but I pretty much can learn just like y'all. I mean, if you don't know anything, you just kind of figure it out, YouTube, ask a question, whatever. And I just sort of dove in and just figured it out. So we were in a place where I had about, 30 something. I think I have a slide later on that tells how many, but I think I had between 30 and 40 LibGuides. So it wasn't like we had to migrate a whole ton of content over to Stacks. So we were in a sweet spot. I do know that a lot of libraries, when thinking about a migration, a CMS migration of this kind, there's a whole lot that you would be bringing over. So we were lucky in that regard that we were kind of new to it. So, but this tells you a little bit about what our service was like during the pandemic. And then so for the fall of 2021, so actually July 1, we had a new ILS. Our contract ran out with this consortium that we were in with 4 other schools. There were 5 total in Tennessee and with Alma Primo. And I just didn't like the way the consortium was configured. And I wanted autonomy. And so we contracted with Bywater for Koha, and that migration went so smooth. Like it was nothing that no hair pulling, no tears. It was fantastic. Things are great. The staff love it. And then we had a new discovery system. We added EBSCO's EDS because, Alma has Primo. If you're familiar with that, Primo is the discovery system for Alma. So I needed a discovery system. So we got EDS, and I just love it. I love the research starter. I love I think it has more filters on the left than Primo did. It's fantastic. And then, of course, this new CMS platform that I'm talking about today, we moved from SpringShare's LibGuides to EBSCO Stacks for our subject guides. And another thing, the word LibGuide, I think, is very jargony. It's very library term. That's not a word that people on the street talk. That's not something they say. So if you say, oh, did you go to the LibGuide? They feel like you're speaking a whole different language, and kind of you are. So I wanted to get away from that terminology. And it was really difficult because the faculty, they already adopted that LibGuide term, even though we only had it really for spring, actually just for 2020. So honestly, summer, kind of middle of spring 2020, and then summer 2020, fall 2020, and a little bit of 2021. And then I switched everything over to Stacks. And so I started putting everything out like, we're not calling them LibGuides anymore, guys. Like they're calling them subject guides. So that was something I've had to get into the faculty's mind so that when they tell a student that it's just a subject guide instead of a LibGuide. So again, these were our priorities with all of the changes that we've done. Access, it's priority of librarianship, right? Access to information. So I wanted everything under one digital roof. I didn't want to click here and then go to an external site. I want everything. And I wanted search to be the center beam under this roof. And that's what this platform has allowed us to do. I also, again, like I said, I want common language. I don't want any library jargon on that thing. With EDS, you do have the ability to do like drop downs. And during the demos, the EBSCO people took me to all of these different sites, and so many people did have a drop down. And in the drop down, it said like catalog, and it even had like some places had EDS on there. And I was like, no one would know what that was. Like my students, they wouldn't. I feel like I don't even know if I said do a catalog search if they would really know that. And I know that that's appalling to talk about that in library land, but it's true. Like our students, they come to us, they're first gen students, they're socioeconomic, they're struggling students. And I just don't want a highbrow mindset of pretension, academic pretension, saying you must come to me already knowing how to do this. I want it to be accessible for them. It's like an intuitive and pretty. I want it to be attractive and pretty. And this allowed me to do all of that. The other thing is I wanted efficiency for library staff. Like I said, I had never built a LibGuide before. I mean, I'd done websites and done a little bit of CSS coding, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. But I never built a LibGuide. And when I got in the back end, the staff interface, I felt like it was really clunky. I mean, I was able to figure it out, but there were just so many steps to do things. And the fact that it didn't integrate with the catalog at all was difficult, particularly when adding a book. It was pretty clunky. Adding images was clunky. I mean, I don't want to talk bad about the product because they're great people, but it was a little more intensive than I would like. And then, of course, what this whole presentation is about is an enhanced user experience for all of our patrons. So just streamline, again, with a clear vocabulary. I want a call to action. So leading with verbs like, click here, or just clear nouns that are just like, this is the databases, these are this, and the intuitive design with a lot of accessibility features that are all built in and a contemporary pretty theme. So this is the subject guides in the databases before. The limited variety of the page layout. As you know, if you've worked in LibGuides, you've got the top tabs, or you've got the side, and that's pretty much it. And I had a really difficult time, like I said, with the multiple steps to create the content. The mobile optimization was, it was mobile, true, but the navigation, the way that the tabs looked mobile, I wasn't a fan of, and I kind of wanted a hamburger menu for that reason. But then I realized that they said that they had a mobile thing I could add, but it was only for like 5 pages. And I was like, well, dang it. And so what I've got here is a screenshot where I sent a text to a friend of mine, and you can see there's just a ton of code over there. And I was like, I'm just so tired. And they were like, that's gross. And I was like, I know, it sucks. I spent all my time trying to make it look really pretty, trying to get everything the way it needed to be. And college, like branded for the college, because I didn't want them to click on the library link and then go somewhere that didn't look like, oh, I'm a Motlow student, I don't need to be on this page. It needed to be branded. It needed to have the same fonts, the same colors, like all of that stuff. And I had to go in and CSS and do all of that. So this is a GIF of what our subject guide looked like on LibGuides. You can see, if you're familiar with LibGuides at all, then you can see I did this. That's a different font, different link colors. And I got rid of, if you can see when it goes back to the top, the breadcrumb trail. That's really kind of the only navigation that they had, was this breadcrumb trail. And I just don't think our students know how to use that. So like clear, like home buttons, that's what I was looking for. Here is another snapshot of a page. This on the side here, those are pages. Like if you're familiar with LibGuides, you add a page. And so I used the left side layout, and then added the same pages in the same order for all the guides, with the exception of like 2 of them because of the audience that they were for. But that's what I used. I basically created my own left side nav menu in doing that. So I just sort of hacked what I wanted to do in LibGuides. And it doesn't look bad, but again, it's just like super, like too many steps, too much of my time was used to make it look this way. And so I wanted something that was easier for the staff and would still have a really like pretty outcome. So here is a GIF of what one of our literature guides would look like. Another thing, you can see the databases, they're all just kind of listed there. I wanted to get away from chunks, like huge big things of text too. I wanted something visual. And I'll show you the literature guide that we have now. And you can see this one's different. The left side nav is different because this is for OER for our faculty. And those pages were already existed on the left. And I was just like, goodness, if I add all of the other pages I wanted to use for my left side nav, then it would just go on forever. These are the list of our databases. So this should look familiar to you. And you see here the alphabet up at the top. I couldn't find the code to change those link colors. So now I've got the blue, and like the buttons that are say popular, like I'm not skilled enough to know how to go in and change those button colors to be consistent branded the way that our marketing office at Motlow wanted it to be. And I was also kind of in a fight with them. I'm not gonna lie, you know how that can be sometimes. It gets political. They were like, why do you need your own website? And I was like, because we have a lot of content. And so I had to like toe the line and make it look like something they would quote unquote approve of before they would let me have it. So that's why I worked so furiously. So how did we migrate from LibGuides to Stacks? Well, I had 2 staff members. Sorry about that, email me. 2 staff members, Haley and Elizabeth, and I just asked them to harvest all the content and stick it in a Google Drive. And they did. Oh my goodness. So it's 102 folders, and they put screenshots, image files, and docs in there so we could have all of our links. So we were just focused on harvesting the content and then just slapping it in Stacks and then prettying it up later. So that was kind of our migration process. And here is a GIF of what the Google Drive looks like. So you can see where they've put them all in. And then I have this GIF here, which is too fast. But you can see like that's a PDF of a history guide. So we could see how it was laid out and sort of mimic the content that way. So how do we create subject guides in Stacks? The thing you need to know is this is your dashboard in Stacks, if you can see, and it's all these little tiles. And in LibGuides, you create the page and then you build your boxes on the page. Well, in Stacks, you create essentially your boxes here. And then you go to your page and then just add your boxes there, the ones that you've created. So it's a little bit the reverse. So I had to wrap my head around that. So Stacks does have this research guides. Down here, you can see in the bottom corner, I have a red arrow pointed to it. And it's basically just a WYSIWYG editor with kind of that, it mimics that left side nav layout with a WYSIWYG editor. And that's fine. And we do use it, but not for our subject guides. We kind of link to it when we have other content. There's a D2L instructor guide that I can show you. I don't know how I'm on time. Oh, goodness. Okay. So the D2L instructor guide is basically, see how pretty this is? And so when you click something, this is a landing page. So right here, this red arrow here, this is a landing page that we've used. And then when we click one of these, this is one of the research guides. So it's this WYSIWYG editor. You can add, you can embed things in it. You can add images, but this is what they use. Stacks calls a research guide. But I wanted, like I said, something super visual. So we're using the landing pages as our subject guides. And I think we're the only ones doing this. So I think that's why I'm here presenting about it. So this is basically a comparison. Like I mentioned, the breadcrumb trail was the only navigation. And you can see how I tried to do the left side nav. And what I love so much, my favorite feature of Stacks is that this search bar and these 4 buttons, they travel on every single page. So from any place, you can search the library, any place. And again, a long list of databases on the guides. And we just made a button, like all of my images I create in Canva. So I created this button as an image in Canva. And we would hyperlink this image to the subject-specific database. So now when you go to like the literature guide or, whatever subject, some natural science or health, whatever, health and medicine, you can click that and go straight to the databases coded by that subject. And the search bar in LibGuides was basically an embed code. And so I would have to literally put that on every page, add a box or copy the box, how you can just reuse a box. It just turned out to be a whole thing. And then you had like 2 searches. People would search the LibGuides or it was crazy. So here you can see that, again, I'm talking about that multi-step process to create the gallery boxes, to do the resource flows. But with the integration of EDS into Stacks, like you can literally just use the search bar to search for what you're wanting to, or just paste your title in and it pulls it up. So there's no more pasting the ISBN, no more pasting the permalink. It does it all by itself. When I showed my staff, they're like, oh my God, this is amazing. And I was like, I know, this is great. You can't see the boxes when you move them around on LibGuides. If you're familiar with it, you're just dragging the names around. But customizing the layout and Stacks is really easy. And then I just feel like there are too many steps for everything in LibGuides, and creating the custom blocks and the call outs and the resource flows. They're all, like I said, in their own little module. And then you just add them to a page. So I'm going to take you to the site. This is what it looks like now. So again, this search bar and these 4 buttons travel with you everywhere you go. So this is a landing page, and this is what they call a resource flow. And then these 3 items here are what they call a call out. And I love this, the hours down here. You can toggle between all of your different branches. Let me click on the subject guide list here. And I've got them grouped by audience, staff and faculty, student, and then I call them virtual displays. Those are the ones like, Pride Month. Native American Heritage, I just did the other day. So, and it just took me a little bit. The most time consuming was just creating these images in Canva, and then let me go to, I told you I would show you the literature one and show you how it compares. And because I created these images in Canva for LibGuides, I could just bring them over here. But I just really like the way it looks now. These call outs I have used, if you're familiar with LibGuides, you've added maybe like a tabbed box. So I use these call outs where I would have created a tabbed box in LibGuides. Are there any questions so far about anything?
More comments than questions in the chat so far.
Okay. Let me click on databases so you can see that. I have it A to Z, and the first one is expanded. And then you can just click to expand the rest of them. And again, to avoid jargon, I literally just wrote, what is the name of the database you need, so that they know if they get an assignment to go to JSTOR, they can just type in JSTOR right there. And then again, here I put type here to search in-house and online library resources. I just wanted it to be as intuitive and easy to understand as possible. I feel like our students are sometimes scared of going to the library because they've been yelled at to be quiet or whatever, or they've had late fines, and they're just sort of scared, and I don't want them to be scared. You can log in here, and we've got it where you log in through the hub, so hopefully it will just log right in. We are still working on getting this integrated into Koha, but when it is fully integrated, people will be able to just see their items that are out. They'll be able to request items. It's really great. While I'm here, why don't I just do it? Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No problem. I have a couple of questions here.
Mm-hmm.
Are you able to get usage statistics on various pages? Do you have usage statistics set up, Sharon?
Yes, I do. I have, if you can see, I have Google Analytics here. So, and any page that comes here, that's attached to this URL goes through here. And so we use Google Analytics. I was going to log into the administrator part and show you. So here's your dashboard, and you can system configuration. Yeah, right here. This is where you add your Google Analytics, and you just put your property ID there, which of course I had to get my friend who works in IT to help me with doing that because I'd never done that before.
One more, Sharon. Do you have you done or plan to do usability testing with students?
Actually, I taught 2 classes yesterday, and I was getting feedback in real time with them. And the trouble is they weren't on the old site, so I couldn't ask them how they felt about the old, like a comparison. But I really didn't have to teach them how to use it.
That's brilliant.
That's what I was going for.
So
the only thing I had to do was basically explain the differences between this database or that database. You know what I mean? Like literally dig into the content as opposed to how to use the site before I could dig into the content.
that's really terrific. I will just let the group know that we do offer usability research professional services as well. We actually just did that with the PepsiCo corporate library, their R&D library, who's been a user of Stacks for a few years now. They just contracted with EBSCO to do a big user research exercise to inform a redesign. So not that they weren't satisfied with the design of their Stacks experience, but they really wanted to take it to the next level, and they wanted to engage their users to do that. And so we leveraged our EBSCO user research experience team to provide that service and inform that exercise. And then the Stacks team did a new custom design for them. So just to keep in mind for the audience here, that while Sharon has been, has a very clear vision of where she wanted to go and how she wanted to put this together and was comparing existing workflows, if you were in the market for some assistance, we can certainly help you with that as well. So the experience for implementation can be as DIY or as full service as suits your library's needs.
That's awesome. I logged in as an administrator, and I'm going to, there's a black bar at the bottom, and I'm going to click customize this page just to show you how to rearrange the things on here. You just click and drag it. It's that easy. Like if I wanted to move this here, I could. There we go. You just move things around any way you want to, and you can see it in real time, what you've done. I want to click cancel because I don't want to save those changes. Okay. But I also want to show you while I'm here, I didn't have to click customize this page, but let's say that I wanted to edit this and no longer have it be an embed code, because this is an embed code for Avon, an entire Avon channel. But let's say that I wanted to, because when you're off campus, this presents as a Motlow Hub login. So what if I was like, you know what? I don't want to do that anymore. I just want to create an image that says, go here. There's the little gear in the top. You just click edit and it takes you right to the custom block that you can edit. And then you just save it and it fixes it right there. I have saved time doing this. I mean, there was a learning curve at the beginning because I had gotten used to doing things that, just with anything new, but other than that, like it's been great. And the faculty love it. Our writing center is one of our subject guides, and the director of the writing center, she and I have a meeting in January because I understand that with Stacks, you can also, because this is the writing center, but it's still kind of under the Motlow library. So it's got our logo here, all of this stuff. But I understand that you can have like a page in Stacks that's branded completely different. And so I want to explore that with the writing center. And then also we're going to institute a teaching and learning center. So I kind of want to explore that too. Our EVP has asked me to kind of look into that too. So that's kind of, it's only going to grow.
Just answering a couple of questions. We had one in the Zoom chat. Are changes saved reversible? If I delete something, is it really gone? So I've answered in the chat that we support moderated workflow. So if you have lots of contributors or a large staff, you want to have volunteers do work, but you want to review it before you publish it, we support all of that right in the platform. But that process also supports quick reversions to previous versions. So we call it a quick revert. So you could go back to 2 versions ago and just restore that if you don't like what's happened. You can also leave comments for other editors or reviewers in the back end as well. So you can communicate as you create content. And when you create it, you can publish or unpublish, and that unpublish will just put it in preview mode, allowing staff to work on that content in a very realistic view like Sharon's showing you now, but end users won't be able to see it. You'd have to be logged in as staff. And then we've got another question in the other chat. Is it based on Drupal? Yes, it is.
Yes. Yeah.
However, unlike trying to build a website with Drupal yourself, or WordPress or something similar, everything in that Stacks dashboard is designed for a library and is safe for you to click and to work with. So it's really a no-code Drupal development tool, where we've provided all of the library tools and integrations and behaviors, like scanning that book into your resource flow, or integrating a discovery result into that flow without having to actually pull that metadata over. I'll note for features like that, when you think about ILS interoperability, and Sharon's still working on configuring that, but we do support all the major ILSs. And when you do that, it's not just your search that becomes integrated, but this dashboard experience becomes integrated. So you could scan a book from the ILS to put in the resource flow, and it would actually pull the appropriate metadata, pull the cover image from your content provider, put in a request item button on there if that's the setting you so choose. So it becomes very integrated throughout the experience for a librarian's convenience. So we
Here,
spend
I can show them that. I could just type in Harry Potter and just.
So Drupal, but already library-ified.
And see, there it is. Like, I don't have to paste the permalink. It's all there. So in LibGuides, you had to like add the book to the catalog as a content. When I was looking at this, I actually kind of had forgotten how to do it in LibGuides. So I was like, how do we do this? How do we do this? And I found this one school that actually had a LibGuide on how to create a gallery box, a book cover flow. And it was 14 steps long. And the first step was like, open 2 tabs. And I was like, oh yes, I do remember that. Yeah, that was hard. But you just add another item. I don't know. What else do we want to think about? Maybe, I don't know. There you go. Boom. And it's there. Link is ready and everything. I'm not going to save that. I'm going to get out. But very easy. I love that. I want to show the search because this did, before we had it integrated into the Stacks, it did kind of go out. And even though I customized the EDS platform to be branded, you could still tell that you were leaving this page and going to another one. So searching here now is in-house. Like, you have not left this. And I adore that. I feel like it trusts. Like, I feel like if I were a student, I would trust, oh, I'm in the right spot. I know exactly where I am, what I'm getting. I'm not leaving here.
That's a great point, Sharon. Our user research shows that 25% of users fall off the experience, so just walk away when the user experience changes. So when you go from one platform to another. So that's notable. And of course, we do a lot of research across a large user base to collect that data. I will tell the folks on the call that you do have choices within that search bar to support as many searches as you'd like. So it's going to add some drop downs or radio buttons or tabs, whatever you've configured, but you can have more than one thing in that search bar. And each of those searches can be integrated to pull the results in a very native fashion like we see here to build that trust. Or they can link out, and it's not a one rule to rule them all. So if you had one particular catalog where there was something over there that users were attached to, you could have an option to have users go out to that interface as well as having it come in here. So lots of granularity to meet libraries, even with a set of stakeholders or users with attachment to something else, while still providing the novice user that native experience that we see here.
Right. Right. And all of that search stuff is super attractive to me. Like, the librarian in me is like, ooh, I want all of these special little searches. But for our audience, I wanted to keep it as streamlined and simple as possible. Although I might integrate some bento searches on some landing pages in the future, but I'm just not there yet because this is still relatively new. I wanted to show this module up here. That's very cool. When you click on it, it just gives this little like synopsis of today's hours. Any other questions? It's really easy. And here, this is the button that I have to links back to Motlow's homepage. So you can see I've stole this green color. So this is what Motlow's page looks like. And I just inspected their code and stole their colors. And I say there like I don't work here. But so that when students click library, that they don't feel like they're getting too far away from what they're used to. And then once they get here, everything is in-house with the catalog as the main thing. So here's that last slide if y'all wanted to grab our information one more time.
Thanks so much, Sharon. This was terrific.
Sure. I'm happy to do it. Everybody on the team has been so helpful. Zach and Timothy and Christopher and Kristin, everybody's been just fantastic working with us. And I feel like I would bother a lot. I'm like, hey guys, I really need help with this thing. But no, it's been great. Christopher, especially, I feel like he met with me for like over 2 hours that first day to teach me how to do it. Because I was in that place where I was like, I know how to use LibGuides. How do I use this thing? And he just literally walked me through it. And I was like, oh my God, okay, I got this. Yeah. And he had a lot of UX ideas as well that were similar to mine. So it was great. Thank y'all so much for attending.